Hello and welcome to This Little Village, a down-to-earth, relaxed and informative chat with people involved in horticulture. If you're nuts about everything plants and want to get some tips and inspiration, sit back with your cuppa and enjoy.
In today's podcast, Taj speaks with renowned organic farmer Tom Wadson of Watson's Farm in Bermuda.
Okay, so today, all the way from Bermuda, we have Mr. Tom Wadson of Watson's Farm. Thank you for finding the time to speak with me today.
Perfect, Dad. Pleasure.
I'm very excited for you to share some of your knowledge, and I'm sure the folks back in the UK are just as excited as I am.
Perfect.
So how long have you been in the agriculture field, and how did you get it?
Okay, that's a great question. I love those ones that start. So when I was coming up, pretty much Bermuda was a different place. It was much more rural. You know, it was just way more rural. Pretty much everybody had a little garden going on.
Yeah.
A lot of chickens. I saw Skylark with chickens at a very young age. And then agriculture in this country was really not well treated at all.
Yes.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of
Definitely.
it was a lot of hard, to put it bluntly, jackass work, you know.
Mhm.
And what the big breakthrough in agriculture was here? When the racetrack to this house had plenty of horses to work with. That's how
okay.
crazy it is.
Right.
But it was way backwards.
Yes.
And I, as a very young boy, 7 or 8, I worked for a big firm. A guy called Thomas James, I'll never forget it. And I used to call him the 40 guy.
Yeah.
He had 40,000 chickens.
Oh boy.
Milk 40,000. He had the little hospital up there and a bunch of other places full of chickens.
Yes.
And for a guy like me, it's like crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I started, he was a bit of an inspiration, and we all got pawned off to go to boarding school. You're lucky in England. I was in Scotland.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And your school uniform was a pair of shorts in January. Something
Yes.
wrong with this picture, right? Anyway, so that all happened and got through all of that. And then it's college time. But I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I
Yes.
went in, and I'm sure I'm not the only person in the world
Definitely
who's been
not.
in that
Uh-huh.
situation. So, I went up to Canada, and I really had no idea what I was going to do. I'll be very blunt. I screwed the whole thing right up.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Bye. And actually, the defining blow was looking in a geology lab one day, looking down a microscope with a Polaroid lens in it at this slide of some rock. I said, you know what? Here's your slide. Here's your microscope.
Uh-huh.
I checked it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I'm wandering around, wondering what to do. Well, my mom's sister lived up here. My auntie was up there, and she had a son, and he'd been into this since childhood. He starts telling me about this agricultural school.
Yes.
I said, you gotta be kidding me. I have agricultural schools. I mean, look at the way it was treated around here.
Right,
You
exactly.
would have never known. None of my family would.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
so anyway, I found this thing, and it's just a short 2-year course. And off I went. I mean, literally got kicked out the first year. The rest, not denying it, but when I went up that place, Tash,
Yeah.
well, deans, the
Yeah,
way I was
exactly.
required.
Place.
I was paying $150 a semester for 2 weeks. No, 100.
100.
I was milking cows on the side.
Oh, that sounds much better than
Yeah.
today.
Yeah. And I even have a scholarship from Leicester Sills, the garden club.
Okay.
You know. And I did really well. I mean, so I was on the dean's list. I was required to take 5 courses. I was taking 8 and 9.
Uh-huh.
And obviously that could beat your average to death. But then, I was on the dean's list and all of that. I couldn't suck it back fast.
Uh-huh.
And so it just went in leaps and bounds, and and I was just very inspired to do the whole thing, And
Yes.
came back and started.
You made a good name for yourself.
Well, that took a little while.
Yeah.
Sure, it's good. It's just a name,
Yeah. So you touched on a little bit before about back in the day how agriculture wasn't really treated fairly.
Well, agriculture has never been part of the Bermuda Dream. That's why in 1849 the Gold Rule came in with the first Portuguese from Madeira. I mean, why do agriculture? Well, you could jump on one of these ships and be a privateer, make a lot of money. You got to work for your And that was Bermudians' goal. They were always damn good at stuff in the ocean. By the way, if I hadn't done this, I was
That's where you would have found yourself.
well, I would know because I do still to this day sail a lot. I
Okay.
sail big boats and of course I'm become a little bit of a dinosaur. But I'm having a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Still pretty good at it. Yeah, man.
So
I don't do anything, half cocked. It's all enough.
full flare. Yeah. So today, do you think horticulture, agriculture is valued and appreciated enough in Bermuda still?
Yes and no, because you're seeing a few people, but they're kind of glossing over traditional farming.
Yeah.
Because I think you get all this stuff. I mean, the great thing now is everybody wants to grow weed. Well, there's only so much weed. Whatever. And there's all the social undercurrents. I just can't imagine if they make this whole thing legal with everybody ripping each other.
I
I
agree.
just see a horror show coming on.
Yeah, exactly.
But not to worry. But so I took this thing up and I started with an acre of land. I was very fortunate to get an acre of land. I still had a job.
Yeah.
And I just pressed on and then I was hanging out. The guy that I was working at an excavating company and still doing my thing when I do it weekends, nights, whatever. And I was scrambling for a place to live. I was staying down my granny's there.
Yeah.
And he said, his father had just died. He had this little cottage right next to him. The cottage was so small. What the girl said, the last girl said, "Why that place so small? You're not going outside to change your mind." But anyway, so I stumbled up here, and what really, and I was hell-bent on farming, and it was, for a son of a merchant and all this sort of stuff. It was, there's a lot of people spend a lot of time trying to deter me, and then they figure out this ain't working.
Definitely.
And so, and I went for it big time. I worked. The interesting thing is I'm primarily a vegetable grower. We grow a lot of poultry.
Yeah.
But my formal training is actually in dairy science.
Okay.
I did that. I milked cows, all those cows. I'm glad I did that because I wouldn't be milking cows twice a day ever again.
Yeah, I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Good.
So, and actually, my qualifications in vegetable production, or as they call it, they're consists of an almost completed correspondence course, right?
Yes.
So, but anyway, I went for it. I was fortunate to find good mentors, and coming up here was the huge jump. I was still down in the country a little bit. Yeah, this is just border to border agriculture up here.
Yes,
I got a lot of great mentorship from a lot of the other Portuguese guys.
Yes.
And everybody had me tipped as going to fail and all that stuff. I said, the more you tell me that,
the hungrier you are.
Yeah. So I stuck in and I went through hard times and good times. I'll tell you what I started this with, was a diploma in agriculture, a passion, a sense of humor, and a $5,000 bank.
Hey, you made it work.
Yeah,
work.
but it's a passion.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
a passion,
Yes.
And to this day, we're still building this farm. This is 47 years later. We're putting in a whole new greenhouse over there with a little setup, a raft culture to grow spinach. I mean, I could have grown cabbage all my life, but that's boring.
Yeah, exactly. You want to improve.
Yeah.
So even when I came, like I said, a couple years ago, I see improvements.
Yeah.
Just from there.
Just from there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Cool.
And I asked the question because even obviously recently for me, it's not, you don't really realize it's an actual degree you could go into and get.
Oh, now you can't even take this thing. Unless you got a full-on bachelor's degree, nobody even wants to talk to you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also have a QB. You know what that is?
No.
Qualified by experience. Right? And
That's
huge.
That's huge. Definitely.
Yeah.
That's priceless, ain't it?
Yeah. Man. Yeah. That's what we got there.
Okay, so what steps did you take to earn? I know you touched on it a little bit. What steps did you take to earn and maintain a successful farm here in Bermuda?
Well, first of all,
I
the baby steps were literally I was right out of college. I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And so I got leased land.
Yeah.
And even this farm I'm sitting on today, I've leased this land for 45 years.
Yeah.
Or something. And but when I came up here, it was nothing like it is now. And,
yeah, definitely.
And as I just said to you, I'm investing heavily to this day, and I mean, I'm almost 70, right?
Yeah.
But I got this guy that I'm working with, and I think he's going to be smart enough to handle it. But he makes me nervous because the desktop research can only go so far.
Definitely.
You need a few dirty fingernails, and you need to take a few licks.
Yes.
It's all part of it.
Definitely.
Yeah, so just inspired the whole time, and then but you watch things change. Relatives, Bermuda has an incredibly high cancer rate, right?
Yes.
It's our startup time.
Yeah, I'll stop.
So, because we're doing this right in front of my shop.
Yeah.
But so you watch people with cancer and stuff, and then the guy misdiagnosed my dad. But other people were coming to me because I was the guy who really pioneered the orange sweet potato. I worked 25 years on it.
Yes,
To
definitely.
get it, and it was interesting. And I'm not finished yet. This new greenhouse also provides for micropropagation and all that. And I took the yields. People were doing well to get 200 bushels to the acre, but I stumbled across the thing after decades of research, whereby the sweet potato gets a virus in it.
Yeah.
You still got a crop.
But
You ain't got the virus in it, you get a crop.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I'll tell you what, Cash, and I would just watch people getting down and down and down.
Yes.
Anyway, around to jack up the price, right? But that wasn't smart.
Yeah.
So went away, actually flew away, physically picked up these plants and spent a lot of money on it. Actually found them right in that field right there, which is all laid out plastic.
Yeah.
And I watched this whole thing, and I spoke to the guy at length about it. He says, well, I've got actually everything is all set up. I got all my plastic laid, and it's all irrigated. I don't know, I'm tied up to this.
Yes,
Get out here to get them and all the permits and all that stuff. And you've got 5 days from when you take them. Sweet potatoes are bred for cuttings.
Yes.
So you've got 5 days from taking that cutting to getting it in the ground. If not, it's couple.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So did my thing, came back, it was everybody brought up the earth, planted these things. And they say about 93 months, 100 days or something. I'm looking at these plastic guys here.
Yeah.
80 days, and the plastic's very flat. Not no more, it's all bulging.
Yeah.
I said, hello, what's going on here? I said, I'm seeing a little, like on the pinball machine, a little red light, score.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing this. And so I phoned the guy up, the guy that I got the plants from.
Yes.
This guy is now, he's actually arguably the biggest supplier of sweet potatoes in England that are grown in North Carolina.
Yeah.
Because it's difficult. The climate there is not real good for any heat.
Yes, exactly.
So I said, what should I expect in the yield? He says, I didn't tell you that when you're buying the plants, but I've never heard of anybody planting sweet potatoes on raised bed plastic with drip irrigation. And he says, I didn't want to say too much because I'm actually trying it myself. And so apparently we're the first guys ever to do that.
Yes.
And you heard of the young and the restless, I'm the dumb and the lucky and something. So anyway, so I asked him, I said, because I'm seeing this, I said, man, I got a crop. I go to make. I said, hey, so what should I expect to see yield? He said, tells me straight up. And they measure them in bushels, which is basically a 55-pound bag.
Yeah.
55-pound unit. He says, well, U.S. average is 300 bushels to the acre. So I like that drip irrigation thing.
Oh yeah.
I said, you get a little bit, I think you could get a bonus out of that. He says 300. He said, I bet you get 500. You want to finish up that?
How much is that?
850. Triple North American average, right?
So he was definitely impressed.
Yeah, but then it was interesting. You remember when we had the Uyghurs come here a few years ago?
Yes.
I go up to get the plants from before. And he's a real chap who, of the caliber of people who wear a red bandana.
Yes.
See y'all took in them terrorists, right? And he said, he wasn't too, it's very military around
You're right.
here, and he was not impressed at all. So,
Yeah.
well, what really cooked my goose is when I went up to, hey, remember this terrorist you talked about? I've got 2 of them working for me. And he just turned into a real jerk after that. And so I said, later for you lot, we tried other nurseries, and they're all they say, they have the USDA,
Yes.
as my friend calls it, really good friend. You ever seen the movie Food Inc.?
Food Inc. No.
Check it
I
out.
haven't.
You'll see a guy in there with Coke's bottle glasses.
Okay.
The guy down
Yeah,
Jill
check it out.
South has become a very good friend. And somebody mentions the USDA to him and says, no, you've got the right acronym, but the pronunciation is wrong. The guy said, what do you mean? He says, that would be the US, duh. and so all these sort of things. But they got really snotty about that whole thing. And then the nursery started to do it. Oh, my nursery's all USD inspected, but you haven't looked for pests in this thing for 97 years.
Right,
This
exactly.
stuff was coming in here crawling with bugs.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
that's not all, So they kind of canned that. So now we're setting up to actually do our own micropropagation.
Right.
Buy 3 test tube babies, no GM or anything in them.
Yeah.
They just clean the virus, and it's actually comes from another university. I completely blew off North Carolina
Right.
because these people are just way nicer, so much more practical, and
Right. Just easy.
and they'll send me the thing. And so you get, for $500, you get 3 little test tubes, these little grow sheets in it. Your job is to make them into thousands of
Yep.
sheets, so you're dividing and all this stuff.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
you keep the virus out of it, we're tripling you.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, we're down to 200 right now because we can't get the still thing rolling.
Right.
But first we got Humberted by the hurricane, right? That
Yeah,
freaked
definitely.
us out. And then, first we got Humberted, something else happened, then we got COVID,
A lot of
Yeah, a lot of hurricanes, right?
Yeah,
but anyway, well, Red wasn't doing the day either, right?
Yeah.
So, I didn't know.
Yeah, definitely.
So, I'll grab little things like that and just grab them by the tail and go, oh yeah, no guts, no glory, bro.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah.
So have you worked outside of Bermuda in this field?
Only in consulting.
Only in because okay.
Yeah. I mean, I have a couple of consulting jobs in the Caribbean, and
Yes.
So it's interesting. A friend of mine was consulting for out in Eastern Europe, and they had this whole thing going on. He was a pure agronomy consultant, but dirt consultant. But he'd watch me because we were the first guys here. In fact, we're the only ones today who still grow broiler chickens in Bermuda.
Okay.
So where was I, Ted?
You had a mate in Europe, Eastern Europe, I think you said?
Yeah, right,
probably
exactly.
got-
So he was working for like Oxfam or somebody like that.
Yeah.
He says, you know what? I'm gonna see if I can't get you over there. And I said, yeah, you're gonna have to try pretty smooth. There's people foolish over here. But he says, no, because you're the guy. He said, I've never crossed anybody who's able to figure out how to balance the whole thing with pasture poultry is
Yeah.
you're actually running the small pens
Yes.
in basically units of 100, whereas these chicken factories, got
Right.
26,000. I mean, it's incredible. It's horrible.
Yeah.
I mean, if you looked at that, you might even become a vegetarian, right? Because chicken would be out.
But
But
about it.
yeah. But what we managed to do, and I had a great friend that I met. He wasn't actually at college, but he worked outside of town. I got to meet him, and I would say this guy was arguably one of in the top 10 of all dairy herdsmen in the world.
Okay.
I mean, he was intense and he was innovative. And he was clever. He said, I said, we're starting to run these vegetable stands now. How about we grow some eggs? And so I got this little plan to build this chicken coop and do it. I said, no. What you want to do is pasture poultry. And so I started listening to him about it. And went to a conference to learn about it all. And it deals with smaller units, but you don't have these huge buildings. It's not a lot of fun when a hurricane comes. You're not scrambling. You can't fit them all in your head,
Exactly.
right?
Yes.
But, and if you look around Bermuda, look anywhere, there's wild chickens everywhere, right? And they all look like $1 million, right?
And it's a lot more nowadays. From when I came,
Well, I tell you what, it's springtime, they're all popping right
popping
now.
up right now. Yeah, I see a lot of them.
So I'm looking at, I didn't even put that little thing together until about 2 years later. I said, damn, these chickens look good. No wonder these chickens are grass. But the whole deal with this pasture poultry thing, we were running them in first of all, we got into eggs, then we got into meat chickens, which was
Right.
and very sporadic. The odd people do some for the highest over the years, but
Yeah.
we actually targeted this thing. So in that particular situation, you have we used to call them cans, now we call them shelters. You got to be handy with all the
Exactly.
right? But to cut a long story short, we moved those chickens every day. We moved the entire pen.
Yeah.
So you're out of yesterday's manure, and you eat the fresh grass. So eat plenty of grain. So, and we feed them we used to do organic, but that was just dreadful. Right?
Yeah.
It was dreadful, full of mycotoxins and everything else.
Right.
So we ended up going with the non-GM, which we considerably improved things. And but you're laying down all this manure.
Yes.
But they're organized. Because broilers not real smart.
Right.
They're a little better than a turkey, but
You're right.
you know, and we do turkeys as well. But so we would take this little thing and move it every day. So we had a uniform manure lay down, and you had layer chickens running with it.
Yeah.
They'd scratch through all of that and pick out the fly larvae. Occasionally you get a little smell. You never have a fly. And so you learn all these things. Then of course you're moving them out there. They're tiny. We maybe had them in the brooder for 2 to 3 weeks.
Right.
And you have to, it's real seat of your pants stuff because you got to look at the weather.
Yes.
Like we moved a batch out a couple of weeks ago. So I was looking at the weather on that morning. We're going to move them on the Saturday morning, and I said, let me shut up. So I keep hesitating. It's just, it gets expensive to do it. So and because there's some heavy weather forecast, a lot of rain and everything. I'm just saying, I said, come on, babies, don't broke on me now. And we didn't lose one, which was fortunate. But I try to get them, in condition, move them out when they get a little street smart before the weather gets nasty and cold or rainy or what have you. It's still pretty fragile. But anyway, that all worked out. But see, you're getting this whole thing, but they're tiny when you move them out. So consequently, actually out in that field out there, we got a horse but we keep sheep. Just to mow the lawn. I keep a flock of sheep for breeding and stuff, but I always pull a few out just to keep it actually popped up.
Yeah.
And so it's a whole system, why would you want to run around the lawnmower when you can get the sheep to do it?
Yeah, exactly.
So you're producing two things here. You're producing poultry and meat.
Yeah.
And manure.
And that's
So I was always of the opinion that if you could break even on the poultry, I've always tended to go with a lot of organic matter manure and stuff.
Yes.
I just think it's the right way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
You just can't keep dumping chemical fertilizer on them, mining it, So man. So you're getting this whole thing. So it's really a cool system, but the trick was to balance it. And we figured out how to balance it.
Yeah.
And that's what the guy wanted us to do out of Eastern Europe.
Right.
Then I know some places went to war, some places look but not look good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all a bit crazy out there on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
But and I've done a lot of work I've done work in Jamaica and in and a couple of other islands down there. And my daughter's in the States, and it was interesting. We went to one of these big field days, and this guy, the same guy, Joe South, who's he charged $150 for the thing. Of course, I had pulled because I was the president of this thing.
Right.
I had to go down there. But I take my daughter and my son down there, and she's looking at this girl in front of us. Dad, that girl works down the hallway from me at my job, right? And we're in Virginia, and they're from North Carolina.
Right.
So I think we had lunch together. They served me lunch and everything. He says, "Well, I'm really trying to find out about this pasture poultry thing." She just looks at him and laughs and says, "Yeah, you ever met my dad? He's in charge." That's ended up being the president of the American Pasture Poultry thing. So it's all good, what I mean?
Yeah.
My setup, Taj, is I'm not inviting competition, but I'm going to encourage anybody to go in this business in this country because people don't have what's a pretty huge thing to stare at. It's pretty daunting to look at it.
Yes.
But this will farm, like I say, it started with 5,000. I shudder to think what it's worth now. The improvements and everything, but it's not like you got to do it all this weekend. You build it one block at a time. And I spent 47 years doing that, and I finished it.
Oh yeah.
So
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. It's all pretty cool stuff, but so and it's fun to know something you keep on the edge of alternative stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's my thing. I don't want to be too straight down the middle of the road.
Yeah, you gotta make the adjustments.
Yeah. You gotta go with what works.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm looking at other guys. Oh, we want to set up a chicken thing. This gonna look good. And you're gonna build this great big chicken coop, and then just about get it finished. I said, and by the way, you got 10,000 chickens. And how are you gonna have this stuff?
Yeah, exactly.
So we do 200 birds a day, all by hand.
Right.
And we're working flocks of 1,000 right now because we're behind. But it's a lot to it,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's
a
a
lot.
lot
Sounds
to
like
it.
a lot.
Well, the fact of the matter, and it's not like you can go down grocery store and buy chicken feed for these things, especially if nobody uses the feed that I use. It's all like I
Okay.
say, non-GMO.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And so you got to have all that stuff together, and it's a big puzzle that you got to stay on top of.
Yes.
But you're on top of it. You live in life. Yeah.
So what you touched on it already before a little bit, because obviously in Bermuda we have like storms, hurricanes.
Yeah.
What sort of problems does living on a small island like Bermuda present you with? And specifically in regards to like sustainability and waste management.
Probably problem number one is the NIMBY syndrome. Not in my backyard. People say, well, this is a farm. I said, yeah, and I'm growing a crop of chickens.
Right.
I ain't got to plant just beans.
Right.
I said, you ever occur to you this land is tired and hell, and I'm trying to rejuvenate it? So my actual form of, I would like to, and I think I'm fairly accurate in describing my operation as a restorative, sustainable operation. Obviously, I have to buy grain,
Yes.
but I convert that into manure that never even leaves the field. It's not like I have to
Right.
shove it all around. It's just right there. Because
Right.
by moving the pens, you get X as you go. It's uniform,
Right, exactly.
So it's pretty cool. But there's all kinds of weather stuff.
Yeah. That was a big thing.
Yeah, well, but then you find out what can take, and
Yeah.
most of your crops through your hurricanes are in warm weather.
Right.
Okay, so I found various crops that they seem to like sweet potatoes seem to look better as long as they haven't been physically blown out of the
Right.
ground.
Yeah.
But they do just fine.
Okay.
But you get them. But now you get a gale in the winter when it's colder. All the tops are turned black. It's cool.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
So you learn.
You're right.
You learn. There ain't no textbooks on this.
Exactly. It's all about adjusting to.
Yeah,
exactly.
you gotta go with the flow, man.
Yep,
You
definitely.
can't beat it. You gotta manage it.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So in your words, what does growing plants mean to you? So I know for a lot of us horticulture students, it can be therapeutic. It can give you a sense of being.
What, sitting on a burn shaking tractor, getting your backside of a tractor around? That's not therapy, okay? No, but it's just. I guess my big thing, my underpinning is just doing it to the best of my ability.
Definitely.
Hey, yeah, man. Just doing it to the best of my ability but in a sustainable way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, definitely.
What
What are your main crops that you grow here, and which ones are most popular amongst the locals?
Well, we grow a lot of interesting stuff that people don't grow anymore.
Yeah.
For example, we're probably the last guys that are growing cassava in any volume. And
Yeah.
of course, many people in England. What you need to know about cassava, it is the largest. It's the biggest starch crop. That most, more of it.
Yes.
In the subtropical, cassava is the prime starch in the subtropics.
Yes.
And they call it manioc and everything. So you hear about people grinding manioc in
Right.
Africa
Yes.
and they use it for tapioca. They just use it as a lot of starch. But of course, in Bermuda, we make the not so healthy cassava pie.
Yeah.
But you got your cassava, this very bland flour.
Yeah.
Then you have to peel and grind. We peel, grind, and freeze it fresh because, and then you have to wash it and everything.
Yes.
And I once had a lady, what you need to know about cassava is there's a layer of cyanide between just under the cambium layer, right?
Right.
And so I made my pie and I ground, and that's a nice thing. Because the biggest function in cassava, globally, the most time-consuming part of the whole thing is peeling. And to this day, we still peel by hand. Some people
Right.
I've seen some interesting peeling machines.
Right.
Got all they've been research sort of stupid things, but
All hand peeling.
yeah. So that's a bit of a drag, but you make this pie, and as you know, there's about 5 pounds of flour and some 10 pounds of sugar, 43 pounds of butter, and
Tastes good, but it's not.
it's not exactly your health nutritionist is
Yeah,
not going to tell you to eat too much.
Try not to eat it too much on
Yeah.
a special occasion.
But the fact of the matter is, it's addictive, so us guys have a problem.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
There you go.
Great traditional Christmas.
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
Easter. Yeah.
So what can you predict on or foresee about the future of horticulture and agriculture in Bermuda, from your point of view?
you're seeing a lot of stuff with vertical growth and controlled environment agriculture and this sort of stuff. And you got to look at the vertical and see. I mean, we run big greenhouses, but they're risky. They carry risk in hurricanes. But everybody's all excited about this. You can do this and that. And I feel a couple of mates, I let them go wild, man. I'm doing just fine. My cash, and it's only happened since COVID. But I'm serious. I may even cut back on my land, but I want to keep it because I really want to go fully on sweet potatoes.
Right.
Because you guys, interestingly enough, we have 3 products in Bermuda, fresh products that cannot be imported. One are sweet potatoes.
Yes.
Because of the sweet potato weevil.
Yes.
And if you get in there, that'll just take you out.
That's it, yeah.
The next one is carrots, because the carrot rust fly.
Yes.
And the only imported carrots that are allowed in are shredded so much that they'll shred the larvae if it's
Okay, yes.
And guess what? Then they try to bring in baby carrots, and guess what showed up? The larvae.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a big no.
Cut on that, yeah.
Yeah. And the other one is sweet corn, primarily because of the European corn board. Now, that's not the first 2, sweet potatoes and carrots, are pretty good storage crops.
Right.
There's no importation of them.
Right,
So
exactly.
it makes a little bit of sense to get into that business because they ain't coming from anywhere else.
Right.
But sweet corn is more or less an opportunity thing. But mind you, we're planting corn almost year round now.
Oh, yeah.
Because one thing we have figured out is most farms, you don't find it, it definitely ain't growing. Right?
Yeah.
But it's really another, guts no glory in the off
Yes.
season. But we're picking corn, and more corn right now.
Bermuda corn, delicious as well.
Yeah, but people have been sloppy with that too. They bake it through it in the barn overnight on good stuff. Well, it's added. It's already added.
Exactly.
Because as you know, it's sugar turning to starch.
Yep.
So it'll get bitter. So we don't use a police escort, but we get it back to the farm pretty quick after we got it, and it goes straight into. We counted out into the these cabbage bags, 1 3/4 bushel bags, mesh bags.
Yes.
Pack whatever the count is, depending on the size. So usually 8, 9, or 10 dozen in a bag.
Right.
And it goes straight into a garbage can full of ice water. The technical term is hydro-cooling, right? But you suck the heat out of it one time right now.
Yes.
And that thing will hold for 2 weeks. But a lot of this, if you ever go to the grocery store and you see corn sitting out shuck, and we don't shuck it because that protects it.
Right.
If you see it sitting out in a plastic bag in a shopping cart, you might want to go to the frozen food section.
Don't worry.
No,
Don't
but
worry.
just with a little bit of effort. People say, I know how you get your corn so sweet. I said, tender, love, and care.
Exactly.
You got it.
Very important.
You know how many crops are ruined between harvest and getting them to the market?
Oh, yeah.
Measurably huge amounts.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's an epic example right there.
Definitely. Yeah.
What other crazy crops do we grow around here? Well, those are obviously the 3 no-brainers. We do the cassava.
Yes.
Those are like my favorites. I mean, we just do. My business model has changed to the point where I really wanted to do a fabulous job on big varieties here. So we plant we grow a lot of cool crops, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower. There's a lot of risk in that now, broccoli with black rot and that sort of thing. But really, I'm really trying to do a first-class job of supplying this, and I will overproduce to ensure it. But and then I want to work on the other stuff for wholesale. But we do a lot of lettuce. We have a nice hydroponic greenhouse lettuce set up, and we're the only people who grow lettuce. Well, there's a couple of smaller guys operating now, but the hydro guys are the only guys who can. It's like 24th of May, it's getting hot, and everybody want to eat salad. I'm sorry, we're out of lettuce. Right? that's what inspired me to get into that.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
So looking into the future, you mentioned already. Say you want to. You're working on the greenhouse, right?
Yeah.
So is that the big improvement you're looking to integrate into the farm at the moment?
Well, there's a huge demand for baby spinach.
Yes.
And spinach general. Biggest problem you got in spinach is weeds.
Yes.
And as was described, I read a lot of stuff. I read a lot of market reports and stuff from all over the world. And as was, and then somebody was trying to introduce this new herbicide in spinach. I said, that's right. And I read about it, so not going to. And I don't want to do it anyway. But the key thing in that was, hand weeding crews are difficult to find and very expensive.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So this whole thing will be a wrap culture thing. It's a little bit of technology.
Yes.
But that sort of stuff. But I'll branch off into different squashes.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're always growing tomatoes. It's
Okay.
tough to beat a tomato.
Oh yeah.
Well, we
definitely.
only plant about 800 plants at a time.
Right.
But you've got beefsteaks, you've got heirlooms. Not a lot of. I mean, we maybe half that would be just regular red tomatoes, but
Yeah.
we've always got 50 or 100 plum tomatoes,
Right.
various grape and cherry tomatoes. Now, those, 'cause you can buy. How many years we've watched tight baskets of red cherry tomatoes?
Yeah.
Guess what? You can have yellows in there. You can have grapes. You can have cherries and everything. I mean,
Yeah.
let's mix it up. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean,
Yeah, you got some fun where you can have it. Yeah.
yeah, man. But you're catering to a whole different crowd now, which is very fortunate because they're starting to get on with appreciate local and
Oh yeah, definitely.
and local and fresh and all that sort of stuff. So that's
Nothing like
encouraging.
some fresh local produce.
Well, yeah, but I'm not trying to grow. Some of these guys they plant 10,000, 20,000
Yes.
tomato plants, man. I'd rather grow my 800, 1,000 and do it right,
Yes.
and they can fight over that market.
Yeah, definitely.
I like to just avoid the. I like to grow good food as opposed to commodities.
Yeah,
I think
definitely.
that's maybe sums it up.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. So, it is known that the Watson's Farm had the pleasure of producing the Bermuda's annual gift of Easter lettuce to Her Majesty's Queen Elizabeth. Can you just speak about the experience and what that meant for the farm?
That came to an abrupt end actually.
Yes.
Because of some idiots.
Yeah.
I was not treated very well. You see, I was very fortunate. I started doing it a while ago. I mean, people had it for years, and it's, how do you get a thank you note from the Queen for doing that? Well, I don't actually get the direct thank you note, but I get the governor would. We became very good friends,
Yes.
And people ask me, how do you get away with heckling the governor? Governor, I was like, hang on, he starts it first every time. Right? So we became pretty good mates. And he asked me to do it, and he'd send me the thing, and Her Majesty, and then, well, the crowning glory of that thing was when she visited, when there wasn't, a while ago, and he asked me to grow a lot of food for him. I did all of their. Apparently she loves lamb.
Yes.
We have a breed of sheep called a Dorper,
Yes.
which wins every taste test there is.
Yeah, I
You know
read
what?
about that on your site. Yes.
Yeah, because no hair, no lamb, and no off taste.
Ah.
And of course you don't have to shear them. I mean, I've probably bred 800 or 900 sheep. I couldn't tell you how to shear sheep yet because they shed their wool,
Yeah.
And well, you look at just as recently as 40, 50 years ago, 80% of the sheep in the world were for fiber and 20% for meat. That's exactly flipped over now. It's 20% for fiber, and that'd be like merinos and cashmeres and that sort of stuff, And it's now all meat. So we did all that stuff, and that all happened. Then, but we ended up doing a lot of things. But anyway, I was so I was doing this thing, and the government would send me the things, and one year, and I was just doing it outside, right? I wasn't skylarking in greenhouses, anything else. I was just doing it outside, get them. And I started hedging my bed a little bit, trying a little bit of that inside and what have you. But one winter, it just blew and blew and blew all winter. So the stems are, short.
Yes.
And we packed them up, beautiful lilies. And it's quite an effort, because I need to send a dozen stems.
Yes.
So I would go out the day before and just really see where they, what I liked.
Right.
Maybe select 100, or just definitely find a better pocket than few, or something. Just looking out.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go here tomorrow. Because all of a sudden, when it happens, it's got to happen quick. Because you got to do all this stuff. And so then you'll probably pick at least 25.
Right.
And you just lay them all out and take them down there. Then they have to be inspected at the agricultural place.
Yes.
And set. You do all of this, and then you gotta, and you gotta have them tight. Can't just ship out news. You gotta get mashed. Right?
Yes, exactly.
You wrap everybody in tissue paper, and it's quite a drawn out process.
Yes.
And then if you're worried about bugs on them, you might give them a treatment before they go.
Right.
And wow, do all the stuff. Go down there and sends me thank you notice, as you know. basically saying, yeah, I got it up behind. You know, fucking hell, I actually should put it up on the wall down here because it's quite amusing. So, so the time comes for me to meet her.
Yes.
And the governor said, well, you got to meet the queen. Yes, you got to go through all the security and stuff. They have 200 people going to meet her. It's all the hot shots and government and all that stuff. And the next lot is done something else. The last 50 are basically there on the posteriors, right, for what they've actually done. And a dear friend of mine was in there. And it's a you know what shit.
Yes.
And they're all pushing at the door, and they have a bar up there. You know, there's still a lot of alcohol in that culture. Right?
Yeah, definitely.
So they're all pushing it, they're all making all carrying on. I say to my ace friend, she's much older than me. She's one of my mom's, my late mother's best friends. It's actually her birthday yesterday. And so look at her like this. Checking this. I know these people are rude. She's one of her favorite expressions also, and I always love this. She goes, check this foods. Right? And anyway, I said, look, you be like this. And don't be a fool. You've been telling me that all my life. This is how this is going to go. She said, what? I said, well, you're going to be the second last in there because I'm going to be last. And the only reason you're in front of me is because I respect you as a senior and a lady. She starts looking at me foolish. She goes, let me tell you something. You know why I'm doing that? Why we're doing that? She says, no. She didn't see anybody behind us. She's just going through 198 people before us. She's got to be smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, good idea. So let's relax, have a little cocktail, and then almost be late. Right?
You're right.
So in we go, and of course, you had a card. But she's going on first of all. Now she's going on about. You wait till I get up there. The bar's coming next. I'm nervous. Is this all right? She goes, here's her hair. Goes there. Here we go. Right. So anyway, so she gets to me, and she's delighted to see my car. The rear view mirrors, her face lights up. I did the crash course on how to behave. And all this at Prince Philip here. And so she's gonna, and she starts making off by doing this damn. I let her go through this. I'm kind of saying, really? and meanwhile, all these other guys, well, how come I never got a note? I said, I think it's to do with the note that you give her with the lilies, the invoice, right?
Right.
I can spare 12 lilies for my country, you know?
Yes, definitely.
And anyhow, so going up in there, and she starts going on. I let her go for a little bit. I said, Your Majesty, I said, I understand your concern. I explained how horrible the winter it was. And all this stuff. And you're going on, you're making my flower girl's life difficult. I said, yeah. I mean, she's very pointed, but in very much good humor.
Yes.
Because she was hip to my theory.
Right.
She'd be smiling if you rock up.
Yes.
I may not look smart, but I've got a couple of tricks.
I got a couple tricks.
Yeah. So anyhow, this goes on. I say, I just tell her straight up, so Your Majesty, I must say, I received your letter. I was very concerned about these stamps and everything last year. So we did a couple of different things trying to stretch them out this year and what have you. And the weather was a little easy. But I must say, I have a microscopically sized complaints department. Yours, however, is distinguished by it's the only handwritten complaint we've ever seen. Usually they're quite abusive and verbal. And she smiled. And Prince Philip's listening the whole time, right, to get through this whole thing. And of course, she's done her thing. She's going, right?
Yes.
Your boy likes a good honey.
Yes.
So he says, and I've told her, I said, well, you've actually you're having my chicken tomorrow. You'll be having my lamb tonight, and whatever stuff. Now, hooked it all up. And to her credit, Governor wrote me another thing. She said she enjoyed your lamb to the point she thinks it's the best lamb she ever had.
Big compliments.
Yeah, but it's the breed and what have you. But anyway, Prince Philip's up there. He basically, you have to be kidding me. You farm around here? Slightly more sort of thing. He says, do you ever get to the UK? I said, well, actually, I met you over there in 1969 when I was at school and all this. Because I sent to school over there because I wasn't paying attention around here. And I said, yeah, well, I would go back there. I went to public school and all that over there, but I kind of banged the old UK out of me, right? He said, well, it's easy. Now, I had to hogs in and everything else. And he said, I just can't believe you're doing all that. Absolutely. So I'm telling him, he says, well, do you ever get to the UK? I said, well, like he said, public school things. So it turned me off that a little bit.
Right.
So, Your Honor, why do you ask? He says, well, my son Charles has a farm at Highgrove. I said, yeah, I heard of that. Well, if you do get to the UK, you must stop by and visit.
Yes.
And I'm shocked. And I said, well, why? I think you could use a few pointers. I ended up there, not 6 weeks later. British Airways put up a thing. I went up there, yeah, man. What again was my mate Sir Richard Costin.
Okay.
He'd been so good to me. I spent a lot of time teaching him how to drive Spirit of Bermuda one day.
Right.
So he was just a nice man. And so, yeah, that all went on. We rocked up there. I had the whole day with the farm manager.
Right.
Well, the governor tells you, like, you want to get our grants? That won't be a problem at all. Well, why do you say that? He said, well, his dates manager, he's sitting next to me in school. So it really panned out, Tash.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And of course, then I had to write a 500-word essay by an entrepreneur and all this British Airways giving out all these business statements.
Right.
So my sister's a journalist, and here's these key things you got to say. Just knock it out. She comes out and you got to change this, change that. I think it might be, but did you push the word count yet? She said, no. She changed all around. She said, well, we're at 497. Like,
Bingo. Right on off.
yeah, I got my ticket.
Yeah.
All on me. Yeah. And so that became fascinating in that we rocked up to where I grew up in Gloucestershire in a town called Tetbury, which is a local village. And, seemed pretty normal. You know, staying in this little pub thing.
Yeah.
Pub with a hotel like on top of it. And they had a sort of dining room and pub down below.
Yeah.
And I talked to this guy. I said, well, were you here last night? I said, no. He said, why is that? He said, well, came to town to announce your royal engagement, right?
Right.
I said, Lordship, well, you can be here tomorrow night? He said, no. He said, you Lordship, no, what's going on? He said, Miller's coming into town on Christmas lights. It looked like I nailed that. I flew in and out there in a heartbeat.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
But it was a real pleasure to meet the farm, meet the whole crowd, and look at the farm. And actually, the name of Watson's Home Farm Market is because they have the high roads or whatever they call it.
Yes, right. Okay.
Dutchy Home Farm Market. So I kind of pilfered that from them. We bored you, Chris? So we went and did that. That was huge. And I went to the other place I went to, Tash. You ever see this tunnel beyond us?
Yeah.
Are you familiar with that? That's a Haygrove tunnel.
Okay. No, not
Okay, well, what it is, it's a tunnel. It ain't no greenhouse, right? So the
Right.
plastic's actually held on with the ropes and stuff.
Yes.
And if the hurricane comes, you cut those ropes, you can have that plastic off in 10 minutes.
Okay. Quick
And
back up.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
And that one's done very well there. I had 3 of them aimed the other way up there, and they just got wrecked.
Uh-huh.
But so we can piece them back together down here. So I went and saw them, and they're and then I go to this bit. It's probably off the hang it out. I'll tell you then. It would make me holler. But anyway, went and did all that, and off we went. So that was kind of an inspiration.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been very fortunate in my life.
Yes.
I've had a lot of great mentors.
Yes.
And I mean, people that one day say people like you'll probably come across them. Are they in or you're definitely out? Right?
Definitely,
And
yes.
I got a lot of in. So that was pretty cool.
Okay.
And not just in farming, but in anything from shipbuilding to all this stuff. Just clever people. And I feel very fortunate.
Yeah.
But I worked on those relationships too.
Yeah.
And I got what I got.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the new fast ferries, the newest ones.
Yes.
Made them on built them, right?
Okay. Yes.
And I said, I like to go down and do this. Remember when we had the Popeye flags around?
Yes.
I
Yes.
said, because I want to be rocking up around the corner with one of those on each bow and give the premium the way.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, but anyhow. Yeah.
Yeah, so thank you, Tom.
That it?
Yeah.
But yeah, cool, Tash. Is that good?
Thank you.
Did I
Appreciate
help
it. Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I'm sorry I
Definitely.
was
It
short
good.
with you the other day. I'm glad anyway.
This concludes our 3rd podcast. We thank Tom for giving us his precious time. Grant, Tash and Kirsten are looking forward to seeing you again when you click into our next podcast, Speaking to Inspirational People in Horticulture.